Hello everyone, welcome here to this game of StarCraft that I found on reddit.com/r/castit. My name is Stocko, and we are watching this wonderful game of StarCraft on Star Station between our red Zerg player, who is very balanced, and our blue Terran player, who goes by the name The Walrus. Going to be a TVZ here on Star Station. Wow, the newer version of Star Station, not the nice old one that was a nice 4-spawn map. No, this is going to be the 2-spawn version. Everything's just slightly more skewed a little bit. Can't remember if it actually was. No, it looks like pretty everything's pretty symmetrical still, just along the diagonal axes. Kind of. No, I would go mirrored more. Yeah, the sides are mirrored. That sounds like a better way to say that. So, you know, top left, bottom right. And each player has their very nice little natural expansion here, and these very hard to hold third bases, and then fourths are where it starts to get tricky, where you can go across the bottom or up towards your opponent. Everything you do is going to be more towards your opponent, and as we see this game is starting to get underway with some of the earlier building choices, we see that gas going down at a pretty standard time there for the Walrus. He's getting his barracks at his wall off. Nothing unusual here yet. That drone trying to do a little harassment on the SCV, but the Walrus is going to have none of that and instantly pulls down another drone or another SCV to push that drone away. Whereas up on his side, Balanced is going for his hatchery first. We'll be grabbing his spawning pool here momentarily. But the ZVT matchup is extra exciting right now, right? Like, it was awesome to watch back in the days of the strength of the Widowmine, made for these really intense games that you know, were a little more favored towards the Terran player, but still that didn't make it any less exciting than it than it is now. I realized it was pretty boring during Broodlord and Fester. But now we see that the Widowmine does radiating damage, so does less the further away you are from the initial point of impact, but that makes it even more fun to watch, because now the Widowmines don't just insta-win games, or we're not sitting there holding our breath waiting for these amazing Widowmine connections. The game is a little faster paced, and tanks are more in play than they were. Not still as much to read what Blizzard says, not as much as they would like, but whatever, it works. As it looks like Balance is going to be mining gas here to try to get his metabolic boost out nice and fast, as both players continue to just tech up here. And we are going to see a factory is on the way, and probably that tech lab and instead of reactor mistake was just made there with that cancel. Wall made that mistake while playing Terran, and it was fixed nice and quickly. The Marines that were rallied out around the map did actually catch an Overlord there pretty well, but that pathing it was taking very easily, allowing it to very easily slip back across the gap here, and hopes to get away scot-free, but another Marine was rallied up that side, and this Overlord will be trapped here and, well, picked off. It was very well played by the Walrus as he catches the balanced Overlord out of position. It's going to be hard to say. We're going to see what we do about that. And drones did get pulled out of gas for the most part as soon as metabolic boost did start. He's not going to pull completely out of gas. He does still want the gas, but, you know, it doesn't need as much of it quite yet, and he is more mineral dependent at this point as he gets that saturation started up on his natural. And Zerglings do slip down here, and it looks like they will probably get the kill on the SCP here and delay that timing even longer because so many of the Marines were out of position, killing off Overlords and whatnot. They do get back down there. Hellions are on the map and will most likely keep this front safe and try to find where these Zerglings are and push them back out across the map. Don't want to risk them too much. You want to wait for all 4 of them before you do too much pushing up into your opponent's base, but he can beat these small packs of Zerglings around the map before that time does happen. Overlord in position, waiting to see if drops do move out of his opponent's base, or waiting to try to sneak into his opponent's base at a later time. It's going to be a little bit of an supply depot wall up here at the natural, preventing any Zergling run-bys at a time when the Walrus is not at his base. Hellions do move out, and it looks like there is a wall off here as well, and gonna take the 2 queens to hold that, but looks like he should see that coming and should start trying to pull up an additional queen here, or just hold it with 1, not on hold position, so it is drawn out. He does see that there is no base there yet, and there's quite a few Zerglings trying to get the surround on these Hellions here. There are only 3 Hellions. He did not wait for 4. I don't think he's even gonna. Oh, he's producing 3 more right now, so it looks like he does get that 1 out going to go up to a total of 5 there, I believe. 4? It looks like, yeah, he just wants to get up to 4 there. He did have 5 in production, the 5th in production for a while, but canceled it because there was probably a bit of a supply cap issue going on there. As this wall off will be complete here. Not the most efficient way to take care of that surface area, but a very, you know, you do need the supply depots eventually. They are at risk of falling, but not right now, as these Hellions behind them can roast any number of Zerglings that try to advance out of there. A third base is taken by Balanced in this middle position. This is the very, you know, this is where you do take a third base on this map. But like I was saying earlier, it is very exposed, as it does have this wide open area here. You can push up at it from this ramp or along the left side of the map. So it is a very difficult position to hold, but with good creep spread balance, should be able to see all of those pathways, as well as good overlord placement, which he has had at times in this game. He should be able to see all of the pathways and make sure he is not caught off guard. The upgrades do start coming in here for Balanced, as he is trying to get out a good army. Getting roaches as well as with that Gale Reconstitution. They'll be moving quite fast. The Baneling Nest is down as well, so he might be trying to go for a nice early Roach Baneling bust here to push through his opponent. But with, oh, that's a whole lot of Hellions. Wow. That's what, 14 Hellions are about to push across the map here? And 4 more in production, so going up to a total of 18 Hellions. The Walrus is just going heavy here on this. Getting additional factories in order to do that as well. He's going to push up, and this Queen is just going to perish. She has very little hope of living here, as there is not any energy for transfuses here. That one Queen will hold it for a second, but it will get pushed right on by. The Hellion does get caught in the back there, surrounded and kicked off by the Zerglings, but there are not enough Zerglings. Roaches, fortunately, do start spawning, and they will do a good job holding these Hellions off, but they're killing a large number of SCVs. He did hold position on quite a few SCVs there in order to try to keep his opponent back, but now the Hellions are up in the main base, roasting away all of these Zergling, or drones. If only they were Zerglings, they could be doing a more efficient job killing these Hellions. The Roaches are doing what they can, but caught on the ramp, a huge number of drones do fall there. So many of his drones are down here. He does not have a very good economy at this point. In fact, it's almost entirely destroyed, as he has lost 32 workers so far. The cost of only killing 3 of his opponents. This is going to take a long time for him to recover from, and he's not actually going to try quite yet. He is just building Roaches and Zerglings, and he is going to push out across the map and try to get damage done. His opponent only having Widow Mines is not going to be the most efficient hold against these Roaches. It will do a good job holding, most likely, trying to get his Marines up into this, but there's triggering the furthest out one of the bunkers. This that I was trying to say triggers all the ones outside the wall. He does have an Overseer, so he can pick those off. He does not have Banelings with this force because he does not have money to produce anything behind this. He's producing only Roaches. There's anything that comes out too far is getting killed off here, but his opponent, the Walrus, is mining at 2 full bases, whereas, well, I mean, Balance is doing what he can. He has, well, 23 Harvesters are still alive, so he is only down, I believe that was about 9-ish Harvesters at this point, and there's 6 more drones coming out. He does have 3 hatcheries producing at this time, so he is going to be able to resaturate those drones relatively quickly, trying to leave an equal number in gas, and I don't think he can push through here, and I think he knows that as well. There are too many Widow Mines behind that wall off, and his Roaches are not quite strong enough. No, he's going to go for it. He's trying to pick off supply depots, making sure he doesn't bait on any of those Widow Mines, and there's another supply depot down. His opponent is supply capped for the moment and has not started working on another supply depot yet, picking off anything that ventures too far outside of this wall. Also trying to work on those supply depots, trying to bait his opponent into some of these Widow Mine shots. That's a lot of Widow Mines. How many is that? That is 9 Widow Mines at this point. He is going heavily into this, even adding on 3 starports now. He's going up into this more mech style play that did get buffed somewhat in the most recent patch in the form of the combined upgrades between mech and air. They are totally combined now. At launch of HOTS, they combined the armor upgrades, and now here in the most recent patch, they combined the attack upgrades as well. So it looks like the Balance is starting to make a comeback on the drone count. He has the lead again. He has 3 bases mining minerals. Looks like he's not quite back up to full gas saturation yet, so anything like a Muta transition is a long way off. But right now, he's still just going heavily with these Roaches. Even sending in Zerglings to try to scout out what is down here. Triggers the Widow Mine, does not kill the Zergling. Takes out 1 Widow Mine, eats 2 more shots. 1 more shot. There's a Marauder shot out of the bunker. But with that many Widow Mines, with the bunker, with the Marauders in the bunker, I don't know if he can push through here. He doesn't either, so he's Balanced is just going to try to kill off supply depots for now while he gets, that's the 18 Zerglings he wanted. Once he's got those Zerglings up, he can morph those into Banelings. And does he see those moving out? If those slip by and if those get back around to his bases, he's going to have a hard time defending. That is another 8 Hellions moving across the map with nothing back up on Balanced side of the map to defend that very well. Sees the scan. He does know about this. He does not see any army sitting at the main. But there's the push forward. That is risky. He's trying to put small numbers of roaches forward to eat the Widowmine shots, but he is not quite able to do it yet. And there are 6 Banelings being morphed, as well as Burrow is on the way, and the Hydralisk Den just finished up. A whole lot more Zerglings being produced, but there are the Hellions making their way back up in, and even more drones are going to fall here. Drones moving as best they can, but they are falling in great numbers as they get the surround on the Hellions, trying to get damage, trying to help these queens out. All of the drones at the natural do fall. Zerglings finally come flooding in. The entire army is being pulled back for balance, as well as his Hellions just do devastating damage here. And that is once again another entire base of drones lost, bringing the total killed here up to 52. 52 drones have been lost for balance. The Walrus is just doing great economic damage, and he will be doing even more with 3 Banshees in production at a time. Banshee Cloak is done. The Walrus is just going for this incredibly high economic abuse build are the words we were trying to say there. So he's sending in small packs of Zerglings, trying to bait some of these shots out with Banelings not really getting good connections as the Widowmines are able to eat everything, and there are the Banshees in play. He now knows about the Banshees, but he has no way of shooting up there. 6 Hydralisks in production back home, but they are not going to be enough to save him. And that is the end of the bunker, but it looks like, does he still have the Overseer to kill the Widowmines? I don't think so anymore, so he's going to be forced to pull back as there are 4 Banshees on the field already. This queen in the up top getting harassed by this single Banshee. It's making a run for it, as I believe he should have pulled back. Yes, he pulled back all the drones mining at that base as it was hit and pulled them back up mining at his natural, which is almost back up to full saturation. His main is at full saturation, so he's almost again on a 2-base economy. We're at the 17-minute mark, and he wasn't for a while looking strong to be on a 3-base. There's the Overseer, finally makes its way up, and the Hydralisk trying to take it down, do take down the first Banshee, but there are 2 more moving up the center of the map, and 2 more sitting back home, 3 more in the main base, and 3 more in production. There are a lot of Banshees in this game. He is harassing this economy oh so well as these 2 get ready to push in. This is the Numanized Carapace upgrade for the Overlords and Overseers, allowing them that faster movement, which will help combat the Widowmines as best they can. There is a Spore Crawler here, granting vision to anything that does try to defend this, but right now, so far, only Zerglings trying to defend it, trying to complicate things, not letting them see where the drones are, as he tries to get the Hydralisks in position to kill off these Banshees who are sitting just outside the range of that Spore Crawler, morphing in an Overseer over here on the right-hand side. Wants to get vision on those, as it looks like his main one is still down with his army getting ready to take out those Widowmines of his opponent. There he is, finally has that up, but he's going to lose this Gas Geyser, brings the Hydralisk over, and it looks like if that stays around, he might get the kill on one of them. He's going to lose all Hydralisks, though, it looks like, as he tries to put the damage back up across, loses 2 Hydralisks for all of that. As he does finally now, he's trying to retake that gas. 10 more Hydralisks in production. Overseer is almost taken out by Widowmines, finally taken out by a Viking. He has no way of dealing with the Widowmines now, no way of detecting them, as there still are so many of them, and a huge number of Banshees, all with the potential to cloak here. Trying to kite that back into friendly fire, does not quite make it that far, as there are just a giant mech army sitting back here waiting and ready to fight for the Walrus, as he has continued to just deal great economic damage. He has killed 56 workers this game, and his opponent is back up to 48, barely sitting below the income count, considering that he is both down in workers and down in the advantage of mules. And it's partially because the Walrus has been contented to sit on 2 bases this entire time and is throwing really big pushes of Hellions at his opponent, which are great numbers of minerals. Hellions still slightly faster than the Zerglings with that metabolic boost upgrade, so they are going to be able to get away here, and this will be quite a long chase scene that happens for a while here, as Hydralisk now intercept them from the front. They're going to do really, Blue Flame finishes up right as the Zerglings try to get in there for the surround. The Zerglings will take them out, but at heavy losses to themselves. Now let's see, the loss, it's pretty in favor of the Terran right now, as he has dealt about 2,000 more resource damage to his opponent, who is just now starting to build up like just really heavy spine crawler defense here at his third. He knows he can't keep losing to these little Hellion run bys, as they are both mining pretty low in both their mains and their naturals. They are both going to have to start looking for expansions around the map here. And Balance has had good map control this game so far. Not the greatest. Oh, that is the tanks pushed forward, and there are the cloaked banshees coming out, trying to take care of this. Trying to target fire down Hydralisks so that nothing can contest with them. Then they can uncloak and just kill off everything with ease. But there are a lot of Hydralisks on the map at this point for Balance. Believe he has both their movement and their. He just actually has their range upgrade so far. He doesn't have the movement upgrade for his Hydralisks. Trying to take out the Widow Mines as well. Moving them forward into the tanks. Not the world's greatest move, as Hellions are over here as well, uncloaking the Banshees. Balance is taking a fourth base, as with a burrowed Zergling, Balance is able to prevent the Walrus from taking a third base, and has scouts at all of the other bases. There he takes it out using the Raven's detection and the Banshee's firepower. So he's established a third base and has a pretty sizable army sitting right here to defend against a push by Balanced. As Balanced is trying to go up to the Spire, I mean, the Walrus has the infrastructure to take care of that pretty easily. Eats a couple tank shots there, but takes out a Widow Mine. It's an important thing to do, but it is a pretty costly trade here, as he is getting gas saturation up over here, gas geysers, so he can get gas saturation up over here, and so he can continue to support his spending through the course of this game, pulling his army back. He wants to just take some time and get his bases reestablished, get a real good economy rolling, so that he can just actually push through the Walrus and for the first time be ahead in this game. He has stayed very on par with the Walrus, but he has lost so much over the course of this game. With, I think it's still around 56, exactly 56 workers have been killed for him this game, as there are 2 more Cloak Banshees making their way across the top of the map, 2 more across the bottom, and it looks like the Hellions are also running out. That Zergling should have seen them though. This base getting a good Spore Crawler and Spine Crawler coverage will be pretty safe. He's trying to take this base on the left center side, but the Hellions are going to deny that right now. He can't quite get the damage done, but with the Banshees there, that's the damage they need. They are now going to be able to deny that. The Banshees are also hitting up here at the new fourth, and they're going to be able to take out that Spore Crawler before it's really able to help out. There's another one in the middle, but it is not providing any firepower to this, as the Hydralisks do come over and they're using that detection in order to kill it off. And he needs to kill this one off before it does too much damage, but he is not focusing on that because he's focusing up here on the left-hand side, where he is able to push back a Hellion and Cloaked Banshee play as his Hydralisks take out that Banshee. The Roaches do take out the Hellion. This one's still not dead yet, but now his Mutalisks are in play, and they are able to kill off the last of those Cloaked Banshees. From this point on, I would have to say that really Balance has totally regained control of his side of the map. He has the defenses at his the bases on his extremity. He did lose this potential 5th base down over here, but he has secured this 4th base, and he needs to get mining up at that so he can continue to play this resource game with the Walrus, who is continuing to throw units at him, and who is also pretty much mined out in his main, as well as totally mined out at his natural. So the Walrus is mining more or less at one base in this part of the game. Pretty big Muta Cloud just got produced there. That's up to 20 Mutas. There are missile turrets to defend against them, but there are not any more common encounters like Thors. There are a good number of Widow Mines, but he is able to just push through. Once they get that center tower, he won't know where they are anymore. But that's a lot of Ravens. If the Ravens do good seeker missiles or point defense drones, they're going to be able to defend against these Mutas very easily. As the count goes up to, I believe, around 24. It'd be 23 because he did lose one during all of that. He's trying to fly command centers all over the place. I think this should be 1 landing for an orbital and 1 landing to defend as a planetary. As he is now he does start his Thor production, as well as his Alligator Clip upgrade, or Drilling Claws upgrade, which will allow him to move around those Widow Mines very quickly, and the Thors will allow him to deal with this Mutalisk Cloud as they do amazing splash damage to those Mutalisks. He's going to pull these orbital commands back as he gets his army in position to deal with it. He doesn't want to lose them. Well, he's going to lose one of them, as the Balance does successfully take out one of them, bring the Widow Mines over, and Balance does not want to fight just with his Mutalisks into this cloud. He continues to produce an even bigger Mutalisk cloud, adding on 7 more. Will take us up to 30 Mutalisks. Finally gets that Muscular Augment upgrade started for his Hydralisks. as well as pathogen glands. We're going to see some infestors come out here shortly, and he is getting the +2 flyer attack for his Mutalisks. As there is a Thor now with this army, which is going to make it very hard for him to engage. Also with those point defense drones right there, his Mutalisks will be essentially worthless for a while. Widowmine spreading out around this army in the attempt to defend. He can't shoot down these missile turrets because of the point defense drones. They're finally out of energy. He is able to focus down these missile turrets. Once those missile turrets are down, there are a lot of missile turrets there. He will be able to start focusing on either command centers or on workers. He decides to go for the command centers, try and take out some of these swarms on the far outside that could have been potentially turned into planetary fortresses. Thor did get a couple shots off there that did a great deal of splash damage. Didn't kill any of the Mutalisks, but it did damage a lot of them, so he's going to need to wait a little while before he can attack again, as Balance is trying to take a 5th and a 6th base across the left-hand side of the map. He's starting to swarm host production, which is what you need to do against mech. You need to just use those free units that trade very well against anything in the game, because there is no way to trade cost efficiently with a Mutalisk. You can trade cost efficiently with a Mutalisk. There's no way to trade cost efficiently with a swarm host unless you're killing the swarm host itself. If you're just killing Locust, you're not going to be trading efficiently. These Thors are really shutting down the Mutalisks very nicely because they cannot engage with that. They just lose all of their health so quickly and so easily. So it looks like Balance is getting ready to do another assault on the Walrus's base, this time with these swarm hosts. He is also getting that +3 range attack, which will just mean that the Locusts just tear through everything. You just have the Burrow Banelings at both the potential 5th and 6th bases of the Walrus, so he'll know when those start, as the Walrus is mining pretty heavily off this bottom center base, adding a huge number of missile turrets to defend against this Mutalisk cloud or flock and prevent it from ever actually flying in. But he comes in right before the majority of the missile turrets finish, takes out one that was building, takes out a couple SCVs, and then has to retreat as the Thors and the Ravens start to move over in order to push him back. But it looks like the Roaches and the Hydralisks are moving down the right-hand side of the map, with Swarm Host being collected in the middle of the map. And he does get his mining up at this 5th base as well, because he is completely mined out in his main and almost totally mined out at his natural. He has 40 minerals left that he can mine over there, so he will need to very soon start also mining from this 6th base in the bottom left-hand side of the map. Getting that static defense up here at the 5th base is going to be oh so vital to make sure that he does not have to waste mental power in defending that. Those Widow Mines are going to get good shots off. Also, considering this is a planetary fortress, there are Thors over here, so this is a double planetary fortress. He's going to lose all of this Roach Hydra, and it's going to be a pretty tough loss to suffer. The Locusts do finally start spawning out and moving forward. The Widow Mines, you cannot be near the Widow Mines if you're the army at this point anymore, because those Locusts are going to be doing friendly splash damage. The last of the Hellions looks like it finally does fall there. There's a huge, another pretty big Widow Mine grouping over here as Mutalisks fly back in and try to pick off all of the workers and missile turrets down here at this base. But the Banshees, the Thors, and Ravens finally push back over to try to prevent them from coming in. It looks like there are tanks and planetaries here to deal with these Locusts. But like I said, you can't trade efficiently with the Swarm Host unless you are killing the host itself. As long as the Locusts are getting in and doing any small amount of damage, they have gotten their job done. As Balance is trying his hardest to remax here, also getting a lot more drones out on the map so he can continue to mine from both both of his 2 new bases, as he is also mining, starting to mine low at his old 3rd base, totally mined out at his natural now. He's on a 3-base economy right now, trying to get a little bit up at a 4th, as his opponent sits on a simple 2-base economy and can't really push up to a 4th or 5th or a 6th at this time. He does get a scan down and does spot the entirety of that Swarm Host pack as the Locusts push down into where the army is. And with that splash damage, it does get cleaned up very quickly from the Widow Mine, but now those Widow Mines are on cooldown, and the next wave of Locusts will be coming in shortly. Did unburrow the Swarm Host. He does not want to continue pushing from that angle. Looks like he's maxed out almost entirely on Swarm Hosts and Mutalisks. So he has one very immobile unit and one very mobile unit. Also bringing Queens down to continue to spread creep. He's got about half the map covered in creep at this time, as the Swarm Hosts continue to burrow and unburrow to help push their advantage. These Cloak Banshees are going to be a good play here, as there is no detection for Balance, but the Walrus is going to have to catch these out of position, unless that Mutalisk, there's the Mutalisk Flak, it's swooping in, it's going to catch these Banshees out, and it will kill off one. He misses the rest of them, as the Swarm Hosts do reburrow and start to push up towards that third and natural area again as well. Burrowing and unburrowing every time he wants to attack with them, so that he's sending waves into different places, trying to force his opponent's army out of position, just force him to make a mistake somewhere. He's trying to find balance, is trying to weaken Walrus's resolve. He does not want him to be in control of this game. He does not want him to have a good economy. He is trying to just find that one weak area. But fortunately for the Walrus, he does have these good Widowmine placements, which are allowing him to really make sure that not a whole lot of locusts ever get in one spot. And with this constant flopping back and forth style that Balance is doing, the Walrus's Widowmines are off cooldown before he has to do it again. A lot of Raven upgrades on the way out here. It looks like he's going to be going for a large Raven Cloud. Looks like Hellbats did find this base down in the bottom left-hand corner. They did kill off the workers there. Now 66 workers killed off by the Walrus, but Mutalisks do swoop in and clean that up. Widowmine, oh, this could be bad, as there are 4 Seeker Missiles trying to find their way in, and none of them make it, as the Swarm Hosts are able to outrange that. Vipers were added in recently, and they are up to full energy. They are either going to be looking to toss down those blinding clouds to prevent anything from killing the Locust, or they are going to be using their pull ability in order to pull things into the Locust's fire. It looks like we're going to see what his choice is as he comes down here. Not a whole lot he can do there, as the majority of the Locusts were already dead when the Viper showed up to that fight. Balance is continuing to turtle up, continuing to get good vision on his bases. He's going to need to eventually start pushing up that right-hand side to start taking those last 2 bases that are available to him, as he is starting to mine low, almost out at his 3rd base, and will have to transfer and rely entirely onto this 4th base in the bottom center position. But a lot of static defense for the Walrus means that it's going to be quite a while before that's even an option. And there are the battlecruiser upgrades on the way. The 3 battlecruisers in production. Those Yamato cannons are going to work wonders against this army composition that Balanced has. Those battlecruisers will wreck the Mutaflock, and then he can just have free picking of the Swarm Hosts as the Locusts continue to move in. The Mutalisks tried a little bit to take out this missile turret. There is the point defense drones preventing some damage off of these Locusts, and the battlecruisers have been revealed. The Locusts know about them. The base does fall to the Locusts, as those blinding clouds are perfectly placed across that siege tank line. There's the next wave of Locusts. They're going to move in, and they're going to get the pick off. The last couple things off point defense drone tick off, and he's taking out a huge number of the tanks that are over here. Might even get in and kill off that Thor if the battlecruisers can't kill them off fast enough, and it looks like they can, and he is able to retain the majority of his units there as the Swarm Hosts relocate and start pushing down this alleyway, as some friendly damage goes down onto that Thor from the Widowmine, as this Planetary Fortress starts to take good amounts of damage from those Locusts, but there are SCVs repairing it so as not to lose, and that's an ungodly number of Ravens, 17 Ravens on the map. All of the energy upgrades are pretty much out at this time for the energy units of the Walrus, and he's going to be using these battlecruisers to the best of his ability to take out the entire army of Balanced. Balanced does not want to be outdone by that, and is starting to get Corruptors on the way so that he can make sure he can easily kill off those brute modes. I just clicked on the Greater Spire, alright? Those battlecruisers. The Greater Spire is done. He's getting a +3 flyer attack, so his Corruptors can start killing off some of this air, which is going to be very hard for his Mutas to engage. They are trying their hardest right now. They don't actually pick off anything there, I don't think, as point defense drones went down. Mutalisks flock is down to an all-time low of 13. He was up to 30 for a while there, so he's lost over half of it. So I believe there were 8 Corruptors out on their way across the map right now. He's getting that +2 melee attack as well, just trying to get everything fully upgraded at this point in the game, as he continues to just send wave after wave of Locust in here. And you know what, you can think about it, like, he's either wasting time, his opponent's time mining, as well as his opponent's minerals by forcing him to repair these buildings all the time, as this huge air flock does sit over here on the left-hand side. It is forcing everything back for Balance, as he cannot engage it. His Locusts don't do anything against it. He is taking out the ground army that's underneath it a little bit, but that ground army is not what's terrifying for him. It's all these Ravens, as well as 3 battlecruisers behind it, which are going to be able to Yamato everything to death. but like 2 or 3 unfortunate Seeker missiles mean the death of everything Balanced has. As the Walrus is now pushing down, he finally has the army in order to take out this bottom left-hand base, which was not mined very heavily, and it looks like he actually can't, because the Locusts have not let up very much yet. They do all die off, but he knows that his opponent is pushing down again. He's just going to leave this one Hellbat over here to take out everything. The Mutalisks are going to try to come down and defend this base. They want to make sure, though, however, that there is not going to be any amount of anti-air there, as they are trying these poor Locusts are trying their hardest to get down and kill things off, but hidden underneath this big ball is something that they can hit and something that can kill them, as there are also point defense drones going down in there, and things are just not looking good for these Locusts. And they are not quite as efficient as they were when they started off. This air army is going to be incredibly hard for Balance to deal with, as Walrus just bides his time. The Walrus is waiting till he can find the exactly right moment to attack, because he's always in need of defense. If he moves out too far, Locusts sweep around behind him. He gets on top of the Locust, Mutalisks sweep around somewhere else and start destroying his economy. Not that he has a whole lot of economy to lose at this point, but it is still a lot. There are Widow Mines being burrowed everywhere around the map, trying to make sure that Balanced also can't get any of these mining bases up. And it's actually kind of funny because, oh, he could take really heavy Mutalisk damage here. That's a good hit from those Widow Mines there. Mutalisk count does fall even lower, down to 11. 2 Mutalisks died in that hit. He's burrowing Widow Mines everywhere that there used to be. Oh, another good Widow Mine hit on that Mutacloud. Burrowing Widow Mines everywhere there used to be burrowed Banelings, or still are burrowed Banelings, as these Locusts still continue to just trudge away down through the map. Oh, that poor Swarm Host got misrouted and came down to its eventual death, as the Walrus continues to try to produce additional battlecruisers. The more battlecruisers he can get out here, the more chances he has to deal with some of this air, as well as these pesky units on the ground. He's producing them 3 at a time right now, trying to get back up to max. He's also facing the issue of he's on really low economy. He has 1 base mining minerals right now. Minerals are not expendable to the Walrus right now, whereas Balanced is starting to run low on mining places, but not on money. He has a pretty big bank built up. He's been maxed out for a long time, and he still has this base can be resaturated and start fully mining again, and this base can also be retaken as it is right now and fully saturated. So he still has a lot of mineral income opportunities, as well as a giant bank, as he's getting that +2 flying carapace upgrade, adding additional spores around. The Walrus just simply getting those battlecruisers we talked about earlier. He's totally mined out of gas at both his main and his natural is just totally empty and devoid of everything they can mine. He's got quite a bit more gas he can mine here at his 3rd, and his 4th will last him several more minutes. That's the saving grace right now. He also doesn't have a whole lot of orbital commands. Most of his bases did have to turn into planetary fortresses to keep him alive, as he does also use those planetary fortresses incredibly defensively, as Widow Mines continue to take out Locusts up here at the top, as Locusts continue to pour down and try to get a good engagement. They do finally take out those Widow Mines, and by sending Locusts down here continuously, he does prevent his opponent from ever coming across to the left side and taking out this base over here, which he's trying to get resaturated so that Balance can have a really large income again. And it looks like he did also clear out the top right and is going to try to establish a base over there. So Balance is really just taking command of all of the map and all of the potential mining, and really waiting for Walrus to make his move. Balance doesn't really have a great move right now. His move is heavy defense, as he does unfortunately get a pull on just a Viking, and this will be a big fight right here, as the Walrus has moved out and Balance is going to have to defend, and there are huge number of point defense drones that go down. He's trying to toss down the Corruptions. The Yamato cannons are being tossed all over the place. Huge number of point defense drones. These poor Corruptors can't even fire. They're trying to toss their attacks, no matter how small, at their opponents, but they're just not doing anything. Finally, they break through the furthest out point defense drone before another one is tossed down. It means that the Ravens aren't exactly using any of their abilities like Seeker missiles or turrets, but it also means that a lot of these Swarm Hosts did fall there. There's another dead. They are taking out these battlecruisers very quickly once they do get into combat with them, but they're having issue getting into that combat, as these point defense drones are finally starting to run low on energy. There were just so many of them in that fight. Are they capture the structures? Not on my tab, they're not. I think they are, I just don't have enough space on that tab to see how many of them were tossed down in that fight, but an ungodly number. So the Locusts continue to try to push down. These tanks have gotten so many kills. The lowest tank I saw there was this one with 61. This one has 101 kills. That is just unreasonable. The Thor only had 19. Poor Thor. And so that fight, I might say, did not go too well for the Walrus. He did push out. He did get some damage done to that Corruptor flock as well as some to the Swarm House. He did kill off all the Vipers, but he is still behind in the bank. He is still behind in mineral income. He is still behind on supply. As Balance has once again taken this bottom left and has saturation at it, has some people mining up here at this top right hand side, and will be transferring workers around to those bases as it becomes necessary. Corruptors just trying to take out anything that they can. They want to take out these point defense drones that are preventing his Locust from doing damage to these tanks, allowing these tanks to just get those ungodly numbers of kills that they have. So I lied. The lowest one has 58 kills. Still a commander. Still a large number. And this base over here has been taken. And oh, he still hasn't taken out that one burrow of Zergling. So Balance knows that this base is going to exist. He's going to know that he needs to counter it. And he is going to start trying to drive a wedge between his opponent right down the middle, preventing his opponent from getting a good defense between either of his bases. As this Corruptor cloud flies around and starts to engage this air cloud, this Sky Terran of the Walrus. Point defense drones are going down. Underneath them there are missile turrets as well. So this is going to be a good spot for the Walrus to fight. So Balance should know that and not want to engage into that choke point. Not really a choke point anymore. Not a choke point at all. Into this location with all of those missile turrets and all of those point defense drones. The Mutacloud's entirely dead now at this point. No, there are 6 Mutalisks left on the field. Widowmines try to get right up there, nice and cozy with the Swarm Hosts, so that right as the Locust popping, the Swarm Hosts are killed off as they are dealt with via splash damage. It looks like the tanks are finally all cleaned up from this location. It is now almost entirely a Sky Terran against the Zerg player, who is gonna actually risk losing the vast majority of his Swarm Hosts here. Those went down very close to them. I think they're just gonna outrange all of them. Corruptors trying to take out whatever they can. There's a pull, and they're gonna get that battlecruiser down in one volley. This is enough Corruptors that they are killing everything that comes with next to them in one round. But the trouble is he needs the things to get up close to him. Does have Spore Crawlers spread all over the map, both to deal with this Sky Terran style, also to replenish the energy on his Vipers, as the Swarm Hosts continue to try to just attack up into this location, taking out missile towers where they can. Planetary Fortress would be much better for them to kill, and these battle cruisers are forced to engage with the Locusts. And oh man, they are just shredding through that Planetary Fortress. Not even another volley another round was necessary. That Planetary Fortress falls. All the defensive Planetary Fortresses are gone at this entryway. The production of the Walrus is very exposed, but before Balance can really abuse that fact, he has to kill everything off. There's the double pull on those battlecruisers, killing off 2 more battlecruisers as the Locusts continue to push up towards this totally mined out and inconsequential 3rd base. As this 4th base continues to mine, and this 5th base up on the right side continues to mine, but the rest of the bases are at this time held by Balanced. Walrus needs to find a way to get a lot income. He needs to be able to shut down Balanced. It just sounds weird. Balanced income, so he can start getting some of his own, as he is just trying to scrape together whatever army he can. His army has been pushed all the way back up to his main, as there are Hellions being produced. Hellions will be running around doing some run-bys here and there, trying to shut down all of the economy of his opponent, as they do find this undefended 7th base now of Balance, but there were not a whole lot of workers there, so it's not the world's largest pickup, and one of them is able to successfully turn into a Spore Crawler. If that gets up, though, I will be a little bit amazed. Thor's caught out, slightly out of position there. They will take some hull damage. 86 workers have been killed off by the Walrus, as Balance tries to defend this base with even more static defense, gets the Mutas pulled over there, and is able to kill off the Hellions eventually. The Walrus has once again moved his defending army back up to his 5th base, as Locusts continue to just walk around, having free reign, shooting whatever they want to shoot, as it looks like he's mining solely gas down at that bottom left base. On his middle right base, he has very few guys mining. It looks like, does he not have very many workers left? He has 13 workers left. There are 13 workers left on the field here for Balanced. whereas the Walrus has around 30, but it will take it. I mean, Balance has a pretty large bank, and if push comes to shove, he can just max out on Zerglings again and try to just force the base trade. It could be difficult for him, but possible. This is an unfortunate fight for these Mutalisks. They will fall almost instantly to these Thors. And there we go. They are all down, and the Thors will finish taking out this base, but it'll be a while before he is able to lay claim to it, because he has to wait for the creep to recede. And he also has to finally take the Spore Crawler and the rest of it, and it looks like Locusts and Vipers are going to be coming over to try to defend this. Vipers pulling the Thors back into the Locust, and the last Thor does fall as Hellions just make a run by down into this base down here. They have one more worker down there to kill off, which means that it's left us at 91 workers killed and only 5 remaining on the map here for Balance. As this game does start reaching the 1 hour time mark in the game, there are Broodlords on the way here for Balanced as well, as he is using this free unit tactic to the best of his ability. But thankfully for the Walrus, he has the perfect counters to Broodlords. He has all air. He's got all of the air units. His entire army is just air. He is building some like Hellbats and Hellions for ground harassment. He does have that the transformation between the two. So he does have that available to him. He's totally mined out of gas everywhere, it looks like, except for over here at his his fifth. The Hellbats did successfully take out this base in the bottom left, and that will be another potential base for the Walrus to take if this game goes on long enough, as that creep does recede. But Balance is going to deny the Walrus one of those bases as he once again retakes the upper right-hand expansion and continues to try to keep mining as he is using his Swarm Hosts. Those are Broodlords. He gets the Broodlords are really out of position. They're going to get totally... Oh, he's trying to kite out units from the Walrus here. But the Walrus, not having any of it, tosses down huge numbers of point defense drones. Fortunately, not enough to defend his bases. The Swarm Hosts do take those out from the north side. He's bringing these Corruptors right up in here. They're getting all of in their personal with the Sky Terran. But they are not able to make it to the point defense drones. And huge Hunter Seeker missiles come flooding into that and decimate that Corruptor cloud, which is now down to the very high number of 21 Corruptors with 10 more in production. These Hellbats continuing to have free reign on the bottom left side of the map. The Locusts Locusts are finishing off all of the structures that are left up over here on the right hand side after the sacking of that base. It looks like Corruptor Broodlord is going to be the name of the game here for quite a while for Balance. Actually might be the final name of the game here, as he is almost completely out of gas. Hellions from the high ground are just doing great damage down here to the workers, using that vision to kill them off where they cannot return fire from. Looks like he's almost totally mined out down here, so he's going to need to start looking at taking any of these other bases, but Balance is once again taking this bottom right base. It's going to be long-range mining gas and minerals from it for a while, as this Raven battlecruiser crowd is going to move up. They need to be retaking this base so we can continue to get that mining done. These Spore Locusts are once again attacking these completely mined out planetary fortresses, but he does not want his opponent to have any buildings left in this game, as the Sky Terran does assault the Zerg 7th base, as well as the ground army is going to be down here at the 6th base. They do take out, well, it looks like they're going to get both of them here. Nope, barely not, as the Spine Crawlers do finally burrow, and he is able to kill off all of the Hellions. Big problem for the Zerg player is still what to do about all of these Ravens. These Ravens that can just ignore the air shots with those point defense drones. He's going to have to find an answer. That he are also SCVs under there getting ready for the repair, I would have to assume, as there is no mining going on right now for the Walrus. He has nothing that he can gather. He is totally mined out in the bottom center. Bottom right or middle right still has not been reestablished, but this air army is in a very aggressive position up in the top center of the map. There are no mining bases it can threaten right now, but it can threaten all of the infrastructure of the Zerg player as we have passed the 1 hour mark here. And it looks like the Locusts are going to try to engage that entire ground army and deal with it as best they can. But there are the point defense drones, and most of those Ravens still have high enough energy to continue to toss down point defense drones. And it looks like the creep spread is going to be cleaned up pretty effectively here, as these battle cruisers move across. Some damage being done by Spore Crawlers all of the way, but not enough to really seriously threaten this. And the Corruptors have been oddly stagnant this entire time. I think he's waiting for the perfect opportunity. He wants the Locust to engage as many times as possible. The last round of Locust, where he realizes they're never going to catch up, and he does start to bring his Corruptors over. Does not commit them all the way yet. He's being very patient with that. There are still way too many point defense drones available to this army for him to really truly be able to kill it off. So he does not want to risk his army in a situation where he does not have to. He's continuing to produce drones down here at his 2 mining bases. He wants to try to abuse his mineral income, where his opponent is pretty much, this is it. This is the last thing that the Walrus can do. This is his army right now. I think the majority of his workers as well. And there's the fight. No point defense drones down yet. One battle cruiser does fall. Those battle cruisers doing huge amounts of damage to those Corruptors. The Corruptors do pull back as they find point defense drones in the middle of the map that aren't really doing a whole lot. And it looks like this air is going to siege from the high ground, this non-mining base here, which will shut it down and prevent, well, really, I mean, there's not a whole lot of mining going on down here as well. It really isn't any mining bases to any mining bases. At 160, 180 minerals per minute is the income of Balanced right now. And there he moves right in there. He wants to sack that base. There are a good number of Spine Crawlers and the Locusts as well, so they will all meet down there, killing off a large portion of that ground army. And these Thors should be in high payload mode, which will allow them to very easily deal with these Corruptors. There's the Yamato cannons being tossed down, taking out Spine Crawlers. I don't think there's still just, I think, 4 Thors. 3 Thors left on the ground, and the Swarm Hosts are not close enough to deal with them successfully. And the Spine Crawlers being taken out by air before it even becomes an issue. Focusing on the Spine Crawler before you're focusing on the workers a little bit. I think that is all the workers there. There's 1 worker left somewhere on this map for our Zerg player. It's mining up here on the right-hand side. There are still 22 workers for our Terran player, and a lot of them are right here doing nothing, because it's just very dangerous for them to try to take this base now, especially considering his entire army is over here on the left-hand side of the map, which means that it will not be able to efficiently defend. And it looks like he is considering finally making a move up into the main base and killing off a lot of that infrastructure. And a base trade would be in favor of the Terran still, especially because he can lift up and fly all of his buildings away and then just defend with point defense drones and battle cruisers till the end of time. It looks like Overlords are going to be the prime target to start off here. Wants to make sure that no remaxing is going to be available, and it won't be. He is down below his max supply, and he just really doesn't have any mineral in there. He's got 1 drone still plugging away down here. Not trying to produce a whole lot yet. He's losing the front of his base. It looks like his natural will fall, but I mean, short of the larva, that potential from that hatchery and the buildings necessary to secure positioning in a base trade, that is not too devastating of a loss. Looks like his gases will be taken out. The Roach Warren is next. So a decent number of Locusts trying to push up there, but they are being cleaned out easily. And Balanced, who was just held on amazingly through the mid game, an early game after losing all of his workers, looks like he might have just stagnated a little bit here. There's not a whole lot he can do to totally engage up into this army, especially now with all those point defense drones that can be tossed down. He's using his free units to siege what little base there is left to the Walrus. I think now in consigning himself that he does need to admit to a bit more of a base trade situation. And he does have bases spread out over more of the map than his opponent, but a command center has already been floated away into the void. It will be hard for the Balance to find that, and the Walrus can, after killing off the majority of Balanced base, can just go protect that with a decent number of radiant of point defense drones and prevent him from ever successfully killing that off. As the Broodlords and the Swarm Hosts continue to lay siege to the remainder of this base, it looks like they got rid of a lot of the rest of the SCVs, all of the rest of the SCVs. There are no SCVs left. Hatchery is being tossed down in the upper right to help secure timing in that base trade, which is oh so important to have buildings as the base trade does commence. And it looks like I lied. There were totally SCVs left. You got all the SCVs out over here. There are 15 left at this point, as the Locusts do continue to push their way down into these bases, and the Broodlords are doing it from the right-hand side of the base, making sure to focus fire down those missile turrets so he can bring his Broodlords farther and farther into the base and really just totally lay siege to it. he's going to have to go back and kill off these 3 buildings at some point. Another command center was also floated away into the space, and what that's going to do is it means that he's never going to get revealed either, so he will always be able to defend some level of his base as he starts finishing off. Oh, Locust being rallied north this time, trying to find those Thors. Those Thors do go down. It will be a little easier for Balance to engage into Walrus's army. He also wants to just try to, like, he wants to distract the Walrus. He doesn't want Walrus just getting free reign over his bases while he's killing it. But Balance doesn't have a whole lot of ground units, so it's going to take him a long time to kill off these bases of the Walrus. As he continues to move through the main base, the Walrus is moving to balanced spaces even quicker. He's down to just 2 hatcheries left. 2 hatcheries, a whole lot of spore crawlers spread out over the map. Once the hatcheries fall, he could deal with those very easily. And it's just taking the Walrus a while, or the Balance a while, to work through Walrus's base because he was doing it solely with these Broodlords. This is 3 Broodlords, not a very high number. The Locusts are still being rallied north in the hope that they can help take out these Thors, which would allow him to engage that army a little easier. There's a pull. He lost a Viper for that, and he also didn't get the kill on the Viking. So not the world's most efficient trade there, as efficiency becomes bigger and a bigger deal throughout the course of this game. The Walrus just has this crazy army that Balanced can never hope to engage into at any point in this game, as it looks like another hatchery will fall. He is stuck down to just these 2 on the left-hand side that the Walrus has known about all game, as he has killed them multiple times. It's going to be a while before he can kill off all of the spore crawlers. That is true, but the problem with that is that once the hatcheries are dead, they are revealed, and he'll be able to deal with that easily. Also, if these Broodlords are caught from behind by this air army, that is going to be the end of his base trading force, as he is trying to use these Locusts and Swarm Hosts defensively to kill off the Thors. But he is splitting his army's attention pretty well between these, finally getting kills on some of these SCVs, trying to using one of them to kill off the guys on the high ground. The Locusts did make their way down into the bottom here and have killed off all of this stuff. I think, honestly, at this point, once... That's a good hold right there. But very soon what's going to need to happen is Balance is going to have to realize that Walrus can't really have more stuff anywhere on the map, and he's going to have to start hunting for these 2 command centers. He's going to have to realize that he hasn't been revealed yet. It's been quite a while. There isn't anywhere. He could have, like, you know, maybe hidden an SCV and retaken command center anywhere, but he needs to start hunting for these with his Corruptors before defensive can be put up around them, before the Walrus can start using his Vikings and Banshees to defend, or even his Vikings and Banshees to defend. I think Banshees would mean Ravens. His Vikings and Ravens to defend, while his battlecruisers hunt down the last remaining bases, or, you know, any other type of split or just defending position, as these bases are falling very slowly here. And it looks like the Walrus has once again found this left-hand base in the middle side of the map, and will start trying to focus it down again. Locust being rallied up still just trying to deal with those Thors, trying to lessen the energy on those Ravens, but there are so many full energy Ravens here that there are almost an infinite number of point defense drones left to the Walrus. Walrus's bases are starting to fall at a quicker pace. There's this 1 missile turret left. He is moving these command centers around. I think he did get quite a few of his 2 of his SCVs out of there, so he will be able to get some mining going if he can land that at a base. There are only 4 bases with minerals left on this map. 2 Ravens get pulled out, and only one of them dies as one is able to toss down that point defense drone and keep itself alive. Looks like the Locusts have taken out the Thors here, as there are 17 spore crawlers, and he will find this base momentarily. He's centralizing the spore crawlers. He's brought his Corruptors down to deal with this. He's going to try to make a stand here. He wants to try to get some pulls out of this as well. But point defense drones are going to be his worst enemy here, as it looks like 1 battlecruiser will fall, not a second. And there are just these 3. These are the only buildings left on the ground up here. There's also this 1 missile turret, and these 2 orbital commands spread on opposite sides of the map as these SCVs hunt down anything that they possibly can. And I think this is actually now the largest cluster of spore crawlers on the map. The Walrus is going to have to try to go up into and crack this nut. There is no mining for anyone really going on here. He is able to get that one down. Yeah, there is no mining going for anyone right now, as no one has enough supply count to build any more units. Oh, it looks like the Walrus is going to land one of his command centers and is going to get some mining done here on the upper right-hand side as the Broodlords do once again move into the base and finally start taking out that last reactor. The Swarm hosts are trying to find a position where they can get good damage done. There's not a whole lot of places they can because there is no more ground army for the Walrus. It's balanced. It looks like he's going to finish off his main base momentarily. Scans are going down. That does tell him that there are still orbital commands somewhere on the map, as the Walrus is trying to find exactly what's going on with Balanced's army. Going to fly forward and try to engage again here. I don't think he knows about the command center down here yet. He just knows about the Vikings and the battle cruisers and the Ravens. There's only one building left. Two. All right, top and bottom. He leaves the battle cruisers and a group of Vikings with the command center, and he's using his Ravens to go out and try to deal with everything. The Ravens can easily deal with the Broodlords, actually. The Broodlords fly way too slow for Seeker missiles. The Seeker missiles will just zoom right in there and kill them off. Also, with the point defense drones, they can kill off the Corruptors, and if the Corruptors leave this location, the Vikings and the battle cruisers can sweep in and kill everything off. The Locusts have found this base in the upper right-hand side, and the Broodlords are trying to get there as fast as they can, but there is that one Viking in an awesome position, starts doing huge amounts of damage to these Broodlords. These Broodlords are going to die. The Corruptors cannot leave this defensive position, and they're going to. They're going to try to get over here, and they're going to try to defend the Broodlords. As one of the Broodlords does now fall, the Ravens come out, and the Ravens, one Raven is picked up, and there are the point defense drones for the defense. Huge number of Seeker missiles come out, and they are going to be outranged easily by the Corruptors. But this base, once again, made a getaway as the Locusts are too slow to do anything about it. We have 2 orbital commands left on the map for our blue player, and we have only a hatchery, 2 extractors, and 20 spore crawlers for our Zerg player. There are still 2 SCVs on the map, I believe, as well, unless I'm much mistaken about that. I am. There are no harvesters. There is really no more potential for income from either of these players, unless Balance decides he wants to flood Overlords and try to get enough. But I don't. He can't get enough Overlords to get any drones produced anyway, so it is a non-issue. As the Corruptors try to engage over here, there's a large number of point defense drones down. The Seeker missile comes out and is outranged easily, as these Locusts are still trying to find whatever they can. Looks like the Swarm hosts are going to be caught out of position here, and they are going to make their getaway, as there is a pull on a Raven, but it's going to easily get away and toss down a point defense drone. These point defense drones have just really been making it difficult for Balance to get anything done, as there's just still a large count of Ravens. And there we see that it should be one dead battlecruiser, but there's a landed Viking who's going to just tear through everything. The Vikings land and start pushing up into the spore cannons, spore crawlers, and they will take all of those out, and they can even take out this hatchery. This is the perfect move at this point. The Queens aren't going to be enough to deal with this. The Locusts are going to have to try to make their come down over here, but with the point defense drones still going down, they are just eating those Locust shots, and with the next wave they might get some damage done to those Vikings, but that first wave they took out a huge number. Hunter Seeker missiles might be close enough this time to actually connect, and they will take out a good separation, prevent damage, collateral damage being done to everyone in that situation. And he's going to come out and he's going to try to protect his Swarm host again, but there are more point defense drones here with very high levels of energy are still preventing these Corruptors from doing any damage to this air. Transfuses are coming down where available, but he doesn't know about this base down here. This is an exposed command center that he can fly down and snipe out very quickly. He is trying to just do whatever he can to kill this army of the Walrus, as they do continuously engage each other around the Swarm hosts. The Swarm hosts, which could do damage to the Walrus if he ever lands his command centers, but at this point there's no reason to ever land his command center, as he can't get SCVs. So he doesn't really need to worry about those. He is starting to focus down, the Balance is starting to focus down the point defense drones, so that he can take care of this air, but he's just having a real hard time with that. This has been a long enough battle that he is starting to wear out some of the energy on those Ravens, but the damage is being done. Every time he flies in there and takes hits, he is losing health on his Corruptors that he is not exchanging evenly for anything with these point defense drones, as point defense drones are even now sitting there with full energy and just not dying. This is such a beautiful composition here for our Terran player, as he just, I think every time they engage, he kills off a Corruptor almost. Yeah, he's starting to dwindle away the supply of balance. Walrus is starting to take control of this game as he's laying siege to this base with point defense drones. Also not even tossing down turrets. There goes another Corruptor dropped, and he hasn't lost an air unit in quite a while. All the swarm hosts are dead, or at least they should be. They are, and we still sit on the same very low building count, as he's down to 15 Spore Crawlers, and he can't reposition them because they'll be landing Vikings picking them off as soon as he tries. There are no Corruptors. Honestly, at this point, he should just land the rest of the Vikings and take out the Queens. There's not how many Vikings does he have left? That's the oh, he's out of Vikings. Okay, that's why he's not doing that idea. All right, 10 Vikings left. So he could land those, and he could really take out the Queens unless Corruption is going to do enough damage, as they are both continuing to dance around. And the longer this dance goes, the better Walrus's position comes, because the more he can just refresh these point defense drones and lay siege to a further out position and really force this army away from this base. As he's trying to move forward with his Spore Crawlers, he's trying to get up to their position where he can continuously be wasting the energy of these. But there are the Yamato cannons being called down to take out any number of the Spore Crawlers. He's now down to 14 Spore Crawlers, I believe. Yes, 14 Spore Crawlers. There's a little engagement there. Nobody going down there. No point defense drones being called down. They're already down there. Corruptors continuing to fall every time these engagements are met, because the damage potential of the Walrus is actually hitting home, whereas that of Balance is being wasted on point defense drones. And I wish I could see full energy Ravens, but I can't because they're all clumped up on top of each other. But there is still quite a bit of energy left on these. I think there might only be 1 or 2 more rounds of point defense drones, as they're not regaining the energy quite fast enough to continue to keep this fight alive. And there are down to 2 point defense drones left, and there we go. There are no more point defense drones are called down, and the fight is met, and the supply is almost doubled now by the Walrus to that of Balance, who does have some Queens that are trying to transfuse. They're trying to keep those units alive, but point defense drones being refreshed means that the Walrus has a very strong position here. There's another point defense drone being called down, and Balance keeps losing his army supply as he's desperately trying to push through these point defense drones. He wants his hardest to be able to kill these off, but he still does not know about this very exposed command center that is sitting down just below his base, as he brings up additional Spore Crawlers to try to do some damage here. And that will keep the energy on those point defense drones low, also kill some of them off to prevent them from regenerating energy. And the fewer point defense drones there are, the better the position of Balance becomes, because in a straight up fight, a lot of the Walrus's units are just energy units that can't attack, as there is good damage going down across all of these. He's now on the hunt. It is 11 Corruptors to 11 Ravens, 3 Battlecruisers, and 10 Vikings. Balance is not happy about the way this is going and leaves the game. Unfortunately, when your opponent gets a giant Raven army up, there's not a whole lot you can do. So congratulations to the Walrus, who did crazy amounts of damage to the early game and did a great job just deciding when and where to pick fights with those swarm hosts through the middle of the game. And in the end, just too many Ravens for his opponent to deal with. It wasn't a really exciting game. It was a lot of fun to watch, and I hope you will all join me for more games in the future. Thank you all.